Good Monday evening. I had a little dress rehearsal. I didn't have the sound on, but hopefully I see all the lights are on now. But anyway, thank you for your patience. My name is David Aldrich, Chief Meteorologist of Captain AccuWeather. Got some great pictures from you I want to share with you. Also want to bring you up to speed on the radar. I kind of did it maybe on mute. You know how you can hit the mute button and forget to turn it on. That's how simple. It's been a long day for me. But hopefully you've been able to manage through the weather because it's been challenging. We've had snow, we've had ice pellets, we've had freezing rain, sleet, the whole 9 yards. But if you look at the radar, the Ultimate Doppler radar presented by Matlock Tire Service and Auto Repair, they've been serving East Tennessee since 1953. They've been doing this for 70 years. Having a great set of tires this winter starts with Matlock. By the way, the winter storm warning runs till 7 in the morning. I have been asked multiple times via comments, when's it going to end? Well, technically, the warning doesn't end until 7 a.m., but it doesn't mean like 7:01 we're in the clear. Because we have some brutally cold air that's going to be working its way into the picture. Now, if we take off some of the coloring, you can see a little bit easier where the snow in blue is centered around maybe Clinton, Knox County, places like Kingston, Wartburg, and LaFollette. Still snowing in parts of Tazewell into Claiborne County. We may pick up another ½ inch to an inch in spots because temperatures are dropping. But boy, where we've had some mixing, that pink area anywhere from Newport, Cosby, Del Rio, Maryville. Oh, the pictures from Maryville. White Pine, you've had so much mixing. It's been heartbreaking. And maybe, just maybe changing over to some snow in some spots. But the numbers that have come in, I hopefully have sound by now. Hopefully the sound by now. They've been reports of 7, 8, 9 inches in Bearden, Powell, Morristown, Carnes, even West Knox County. So I got to tell you, some of us had the verified around 4 to 8, but some might end up closer to the 3 or 4 where there's been more mixing. Or maybe you just got a complete disappointment. It was a swing and a miss. But it was in the forecast. The mixing wasn't, or it shouldn't have been, a surprise, but it may have been a disappointment. No doubt about that. What about power outages? As of about 8:15, we have about 200 in Hamlin County, 600 in Sevier County. Probably a wise move to go ahead and put your phone on a charger if it's getting low, because you just never know when that power might be flickering, and then you're out of luck if you don't have enough energy in the phone. By the way, you can see it's tapering off south of Nashville. You can see it tapering off in areas around Knoxville. But that is where the fire hose, I like to say it, I said at midday, I don't like to change a forecast while it's still going on. No more than you conclude a Vols football game at halftime. Well, maybe you do if it's like a blowout. But anyway, you wait till the second half is played. And so at midday today, I said, let's wait till it goes through. Because you know what? This is the dessert menu right now. We went through the appetizer last night. We went through the main course during the day today. And now that it's dark, we're getting the last of the leftovers. And that still could produce a ½ inch to an inch or more in spots. But the mixing may be a disappointment, as I mentioned, for some. I'm reading some of the comments over here. If you're on here, let me say hi to you. Debbie says, thanks for all the live updates. Yeah, I had a goofy one a moment ago. But 10½ inches in Amherst. Thank you so much for that, Nabil. And then Autumn Sissy Glenn says 9 inches here in Mascot. I know there was some sad faces here. Kayla, one of my premium members, says Sevierville was a complete bust. She said, LOL. She was hoping for more snow in the Sevierville area. And some folks in Sevier County did get more. I see Needed 97. Good evening, David. Groundhog Day, question mark. Michael Hawk says we had a little over 8 inches here in Morristown. It's still coming down. So we had enough liquid. When you look at the liquid precipitation that fell at the airport, it was 1 inch. Last I checked, 1 inch precisely as of 7 o'clock. Now it's 8 o'clock, right? 8:38. So let's see, 103 now. So if you have, let's just keep it down, 1 inch on a 10-to-1 ratio would be 10 inches. But for those of you that got all the mix, you had a little bit of sleet, you had a little bit of freezing rain, you had some rain, you had a little combination of everything. It was where all the energy went. So you can't make up for lost time. I understand that. But I want to go back to your the map here. As you can see, there is going to be a tapering off of this activity as we go into the night. But some of the areas that saw some snow will maybe get a little more, and those who might not see much at all. This is my dog, Dew Point. I thought I'd start off the fun pictures with the dog and the Frisbee, because my dog loves the Frisbee. She just doesn't like it if I don't share it or throw the Frisbee. Anyway, in West Knox County, there was plenty of snow, and there is a car in there, well, somewhere. Yeah, I think there's a car there. That's West Knox County today. So for those of you that might have been in the mixing zone, there were those areas that did get buried with some snow. Perhaps the biggest snow, potentially, since we had March the 12th 2022. That was a 6.5-inch snow at the airport during spring break, March 12th, 2022. Oh, yes, and I want to mention, too, last Saturday afternoon, I was very clear. I said something to watch. It's the possibility of mixing coming up from the southwest, so an element of freezing rain and sleet, ice pellets, would not be good, and it would reduce the total amount of snow that accumulates. Now, I know people are busy. Some people don't like to read the actual forecast. I go to Denny's. I just look at the pictures. I don't read the menu, right? So we're in a hurry. I like that. I'll order that. Well, some people just look at the pictures out, 4 to 8. That's what they take and put it in their pocket. But they don't necessarily read what was posted last Saturday. They said if you get the mixing, it would reduce the total amount of snow that accumulates. So it's not necessarily can be all-knowing. I can't be clairvoyant, say it's going to be this county and not this county. But what it was is where it was, and certainly Sevierville, maybe some parts of Sevier County might have had more of their fair share of mixing compared to your northern neighbors. Because if you get a little tongue of warm air like you see there in that third box, that third column, you can get an abundance of sleet, and in some cases, if it's very warm, freezing rain where it freezes on contact. And it can be just as icy and just as messy. The ultimate Doppler radar, as you can see, still snowing around Knox County, Harriman, and Clinton. I want to come back on camera because there are some pictures. I was looking at this one, made me laugh. I tapped on it, didn't know whose it was. When I looked at this, it said Sarah Rose. Where's Sarah Rose? We could easily just view the post. We'll pop up over here. I believe, if I check, and we're on the David Aldrich Weather Group, she's in Russellville. This was about an hour ago, before it got dark, obviously. Russellville had 6 inches so far. So I love that. If you have a picture, I'd love to see some of your pictures coming in on Facebook because those, again, tell the story perhaps even better than I could. I also got a little Christmas present. I thought it was kind of funny. I thought I'd share it with you. Let me see if I can hold it up. A T-shirt. And I think every snowstorm, every winter storm has an element. And in this case, it's an element of surprise. Like the periodic table of elements, right? Some of you got surprised because sometimes every storm has a surprise. Maybe it starts a bit early, maybe it ends a bit sooner, maybe sometimes you get more mixing than you'd hoped, and then that's the way it goes. And so there is an element of surprise with this type of storm because how are you going to remember it? Are you going to say, oh, it was a great snow, or it was not so good? Because I remember back in the second day, well, the day after Christmas of 2022, we got 1.6 inches at the airport, but they had nothing in Rocky Top Lake City. Rocky Top Lake City in 2022, the day after Christmas, I had some folks up there who said, we got nothing. 1.6, it snowed? They didn't even know it snowed because it kind of blew up around the airport. And that's just sometimes, that's the element of surprise that sometimes can be observed. I want to also get to some good points here as far as what we're going to see in the future. But I want to thank my sponsor, Madlock Tire Service and Auto Repair, East Tennessee's #1 tire service and auto repair since 1953. They're in Knoxville, they're in Maryville, they're in Lenoir City. Lenoir City got some good snow today. And Athens, as well as Hardin Valley. Hardin Valley had some pretty decent snows today as well, to the tune of about 7 inches in some cases. But the almanac, as of 5 p.m., was 3.4. But I saw a new report from the Weather Service that put them at 4.8. That's just today, and then you add the 0.3 from yesterday. So you're over 5 inches at the airport. But we had a high of 31. I was expecting a high of 33. And the wind was only peaking to 13 miles an hour. That's not that strong. And that was just after midnight, before 1 a.m. And the precipitation has skyrocketed. It was 0.64 as of 5 p.m. And now it's 1.03. So there's been a surge of heavy snow that moved over the airport to give them a little bit of a boost in the snow category. High temperatures only hit 22 today in Crossville. It hit only 32 in Morristown. But you'll notice it was warmer. Sevierville, Newport, 34. And that warm air aloft really put the mixing on high gear for you, sadly, across some parts of those counties. 19 the high today in Oneida. It was 17 in Nashville and 12 in Jackson. I'm expecting our low to be around 17 in the morning, and we'll be lucky to reach 25 tomorrow. Think about that. 25. That's pretty cold for a day like tomorrow. Something to see there. Let's go back and take a look at those were the high temperatures. Let me take a look at the headlines because this will also transition to where we're going, and then I'll look at more some of these pictures of yours as they keep coming in. I very much appreciate what you've been showing. Here are my headlines. You ready? Snow and mix linger tonight in the showery form. The snowflakes will fade early tomorrow morning, and we'll think of it as a partly to mostly cloudy sky. And then the single digits arrive on Wednesday morning, and in many cases could be sub-zero because last I checked, 0 is a single digit. And, well, -2 is also a single digit, but it's going to be pretty cold, no doubt. Still will be watching that very closely. If you got a special note, I'd like to see it. I'm out over here on my Facebook page. Come back on camera here and see if we got something that you might interest you. I see some dark pictures, so we got some night pictures coming in on the media picture here. Oops, we got a little picture here. Let's check over on this one. A little ruler. Somebody posted a ruler on here, and I see a tire. Maybe it's a Madlock tire, but they've got some tires here. This is from Shannon Brotherton. I know Shannon. He's one of our spotters of sorts over the years, and I could see he's got maybe about 4 inches or more. If he's in, I'm trying to remember where he might have been. Let's see if this pops up. He's probably, yep, he's in southern or southeast Hamlin around 5 o'clock. He had a little bit of snow there, and so these are great pictures. Keep them coming. I want to highlight those as we go through the next few minutes. And as we look at single-digit temperatures, you're going to say this is too brutal. We haven't even begun the coldest air of the season. That's still yet to come. It is 16 right now in Jamestown, 17 degrees in Crossville, and it's now 21 degrees in Jacksboro. That's the current readings as we can see it at this time. I got another note from, let's see, Austin Moore says, I cannot remember the last time we got more snow in Knoxville than the Smokies. I guess I'm just used to be a horseshoe effect. Isn't that interesting? This was a southern slider. This is a low that came in between Chattanooga and Atlanta, Austin. And those are the types that bring in the snow to Knoxville. And in this case, it brought more mixing to the Smokies. But you're right. Most of the systems that come in from the west-northwest will typically yield that horseshoe effect that we call. It's all based on elevation and topography. But the colder air is aloft. And so they get a little bit more snow in those typical spots, depending on the track. So the track was a big deal today. Fred says it's been a roller coaster ride day in Maryville. Thank you for that. Shanna Thompson says, thank you. You're very welcome. And Kathy says it's still beautiful. We have 7 inches in Bean Station, and she says it's still snowing. So thank you for that, Kathy. Now, I want to bring up to speed with these temperatures because what's going to happen is we're going to be focused a lot on pipes, frozen pipes. I'm going to get to that here in just a moment. But as you can see, our wind speeds aren't that strong right now. They've been 3 to 8 most of the day, if not moving at all. And currently we have a 5-mile-an-hour wind where we have some gusts naturally are in the Smokies. That's not really an issue for many of us. It has not been a windy day. Hence the wind chill. Where there is a light wind, feels like 6 right now. Jamestown, ouch. 7 in Oneida, wind chill right now in Oneida. And it feels like 10 in Crossville right now. Temperature change is 6 degrees colder now than it was this time last night. And 9 degrees colder in Campbell County there in La Follette as compared to 8 o'clock last night. Look at these numbers. 12, 11 Bowling Green, 11 Jackson, 11 Memphis. And you say, oh, that's just them. Well, it's soon going to be us, you know. And then if you skip a beat, if you head south and east to like Columbia, South Carolina, they're in the upper 40s. That feels like summer weather to me at this point. But 49 is probably chilly for them. But it's all trying to come down from the north and west, so that's what we're going to have to be prepared for. And you can see there are different types of concerns I'm also worried about is the black ice. Black ice, that very thin layer of ice that accumulates on the pavement, it's transparent, and that ice can blend in with the dark pavement, so it's difficult to see. Did you know there's 3 forms of it? 3 forms that really, where we focus on. One will be where we have the snowpack, the clear skies. We're going to have clear skies on Wednesday, so the snow melt will turn into icy conditions. You can have a whoopsie, slip and fall. For those of you that had a lot of mixing today, you probably have some icy bridges, overpasses, and on and off ramps. So that's not good. And then when you have fog, you can actually get icy conditions, black ice, forming on the roadways from fog. So all those things can play a role. And we look at the pavement temperatures, they're just going to plummet. I say we're going to be around -2 come 7 a.m. on Wednesday. If we're not at -2, we're going to be pretty close to it. Temperatures on the pavement will really reflect that as we head toward, say, early morning, 7 a.m. There it is. We're like 1, 7, 6. If the road temperature is 7 and 6 degrees, and air temperature is -2, it's going to be brutal. And so anything that you say, is this going to melt? Unless it kind of sublimates from solid to gas, well, it doesn't really melt when the temperature is that cold, but it will maybe disappear under the bright sun. It could do that. But I do know it's going to be lingering on these secondary roads for a long time. But the pavement temperature are all model driven. We're going to see this cold situation continue. By the way, if you're trying to stay warm when the power is out, some tips: close the blinds or curtains to keep some of that heat in. Close off the rooms to avoid wasting heat. Wear layers of loose-fitting, lightweight, warm clothing. Here's a suggestion: eat and drink. That's encouraged because food provides energy to warm the body. and you want to avoid caffeine and alcohol. These tips all come by way of NOAA, National Weather Service, during wintertime. And also you might want to stuff some towels or rags in the cracks under the doors if you happen to lose power, and we've already covered the power outages here a moment ago. I want to get to the frozen pipes here in a second, but I want to get some comments from you. If you have any questions, are you concerned about the pipes? Are you going to open up the cabinetry or drip the faucets, or have you already done so? If you're not doing it tonight, I think you definitely want to do it tomorrow night. That's for sure, because it's going to be even colder. Cassie says, we want to come home. We're stuck in Phoenix, says Cassie Klein. Our flight back to Nashville was canceled at 2 in the morning. I'm so sorry to hear that. Steven Snyder says, I showed everyone pictures of the snow in Knoxville. They said, no thank you. Every car has ice all over it. Yeah, there's a lot of ice here too. Pete says, hope you'll be able to pick up the missus at TYS tomorrow afternoon from her trip to Hawaii. Imagine coming from Hawaii to this. Pete, she's probably going to wish she had stayed another day or two. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, glad to have Pete on here as well. By the way, frozen pipes, the setup is anytime temperatures are near 20 or below, that's a time to be concerned, or at least be thinking about your pipes. It's a household hazard. When the water expands, when frozen, the pipe will burst from the expansion, and it can cause some real headaches real fast. Cold air can cause pipes in the exterior walls to freeze. So that's one factor to consider: the outside temperature, the direct exposure to the cold, and the effectiveness of the wall insulation. One way you can actually be proactive is if you consider what's called a pipe sleeve. You can have that installed. But you say, I don't have any time for that, but that's something you might think down the road. It maybe you have time, but add insulation to those cold-prone areas. But what's easy to do is just open the cabinet drawers under the kitchen sink and all the cabinets. It doesn't cost you anything. Keep the heat on. And if you're going to be away from your house, please keep the temperature at a minimum of 55 degrees. That's the recommendation from the experts for the pipes. You don't want to let the house get below 55 degrees. But open up the cabinetry and let the air circulate and drip the faucets. These are all good tips on how to avoid frozen pipes, as they may be an issue later on this week. May not happen at 7 a.m. on the Wednesday when it's -2. But when it starts to warm back up into the mid-upper 30s on Thursday, then suddenly we're snap, crackle, pop. We might have some problems across the area, and that may be what's in our future if we're not careful. So again, these tips don't cost you anything. Don't drip the faucet, and to open the cabinetry, especially tonight and especially tomorrow night, because that's when it's going to be really cold. Oh yes, and don't forget the outside. If you have a spigot, it's a good idea to cover the exposed spigot, remove, drain, and remove and store any outdoor hoses, because the hoses are another way to keep frozen pipes from happening. So open the kitchen and bathroom cabinets, and consider insulation materials like the pipe sleeve. Those are some tips for frozen pipes. Oh, before I get to the other things, I want to say hi to you again. If Wanda Post says, I'm leaving my water running. Jamie says, is the snow over for Seymour? You could have a few remnant snow showers, maybe a few mixed showers, but Jamie, I think the most of the accumulation is over. We're in the final stage. We're being served dessert. Mother Nature is serving dessert. If we had the appetizer last night, this isn't going to be any worse than the appetizer. Probably much less than that, too. Darcy says the water's dripping. Cabinet's open. Thank you for all you do. Get some well-deserved rest. Thank you, Darcy. Very kind. And if I say that right, David, the snow has stopped downtown right now. Are we looking at more snowfall? Half inch or less. I think most of us have seen most of the snow already. We'll look at the radar before we finish up here. But I do want to mention, to stay ahead of the game here, to stay ahead of the curve, it's important that you know what to look for in terms of hypothermia. And if that term isn't all that familiar to you, it simply means the condition of having an abnormally low body temperature, typically one that is dangerously low. Your body, when it's -2, if you're going outside, even just to take the dog out, if you're out for any length of time, you start shivering, you start feeling confused, you got sleepiness, you got stiff muscles, you might be suffering from hypothermia. Maybe you have difficulty speaking. And again, it might take a friend or a family member to recognize, hey, honey, I think you need to warm up. Because if you're getting super cold, if you spend some time outside sledding during the course of tomorrow night, you're going to maybe feel the effects of not only frostbite, but also the hypothermia. So please be extra careful. Here's another look at the radar. I got the question about Seymour just a moment ago. But yes, snow is still coming in up from Soddy Daisy, up over toward Rockwood. It's not terribly heavy compared to what we had earlier today. But this is going to be the last push with the winter storm warning officially over at 7 a.m. tomorrow. So that's the Ultimate Doppler Radar presented by Matlock Tire Service and Auto Repair. Checking in with you, Rhonda says, Jamie Davis, we live in Seymour, and we got quite a bit. Got about 6 inches, I believe. That's interesting. So, you know, I've had the discussion. Somebody says, I got nothing in Seymour. And then someone says, not Seymour, I got nothing in Sevierville. And then someone says, well, I'm on a different side of Sevierville, and I got something. So it just depends on who you talk to, I suppose. Anita says, will Knoxville get more snow tonight? Very little, ½ inch, maybe another ½ inch in spots. But again, these are just widely scattered snow showers at this point. And I don't expect the bulk of it to be a problem tonight. It's going to be fading away while many of us are asleep, and it'll push away. But here's what it looks like from the mosaic view. You still see some dark blues around Wartburg and La Follette, and those are the areas that could pick up a ½ inch to an inch of snow, the darker blues. But where you see some light blue around just north of Cookeville, more flurries, just nuisance flakes. I think you're pretty much done as far as accumulation for Jamestown. I think you're done for Monticello. You might get a few flurries, but the accumulation factor is really coming up like a fire hose from the southwest to the Southern Valley and aimed toward La Follette and Knoxville. Temperature right now, 27 in Knoxville. This will really tell the story. I talked about all this about hypothermia. They're now at -4 in Des Moines. They're -2 in Madisonville. That's what I suspect will be overhead for us by 7 a.m. Wednesday. Now it's 26 in Houston. Did you ever think that we would be warmer than Houston at 8 o'clock at night? I mean, that's where we are. It's 68 in Orlando. That sounds nice, but I think Pete's got us beat. His wife has been in Hawaii. Pete, you should have gone with your wife. I would have wanted to go with your wife to Hawaii just to enjoy the warm weather. You should have been on that plane, my friend. As I'm joking with you, I know you would have probably liked to be there yourself. But anyway, 4 degrees is the temperature in Topeka and 6 below in, say, Rapid City. These are the cold airs in purple, the cold Arctic air that's going to be hanging around, even not only going into tomorrow and Wednesday morning, but into the weekend as well. And you can keep track of it all using the Captain Accurate Weather app with Pete Michaels Traffic. You get all the National Weather Service alerts. And you also get 3 exclusive Barron alerts, which are fantastic, especially during severe weather season. You get lightning alerts, and you can track up to 16 other locations of your choosing, while most apps give you 10. By the way, this is the Arctic cold air. See how it kind of lines up? The 5,000-foot temperatures in purple kind of show where all the cold air is right now in Rapid City and in Omaha. And Dallas getting pretty cold too. And Houston's dropping into the 20s. But all this cold air kind of swings in here, do-si-do into Knoxville, 5 o'clock tomorrow. And it's really cold when you wake up Wednesday morning. That's where I think all with that snowpack on the ground, it's going to be bye-bye. Temperatures plummet. And it'll exceed your expectations. If the snow exceeded your expectations, do you know how many people wrote comments on Saturday and said, oh, I'll believe it when I see it, 4 to 8. Ha! 4 to 8. Some of you got 9. I know some of you did because you said you posted it. Someone had posted in Newmarket. He got 8 to 10. So it just depends on where you were. And so hear me now, believe me later, this cold air hasn't even begun. It is about to take hold of East Tennessee in a way that it hasn't for many, many months. I'm thinking of December of 2022, we fell to 4. We got to 4. I think it's going to be colder than that at -2. Now, it may not be as quickly because I think we dropped like 40 degrees or so in just 8 hours. It won't be that rapid, but it's going to be brutal and it's going to be tough. Notice by the 18th, we head into the weekend. The 18th is Thursday into Friday. Bitter cold again. Look at the cold air. This is not spring, my friend. This is definitely winter, and winter's going to be hanging around. Look at that. That's the 20th. That's why I've got 2 zeros. 2 zeros, Saturday morning and Sunday morning, at least. We may not have the snow pack by then because some of it may have washed away from the Friday showers. That could be rain and snow or a combination of both. But I do think that you can see this cold air just linger. So winter is just getting started. And that's why I beat the drum to encourage you. If you'd like to join us on Captain Accurate Premium, you can be in the know. You don't have to second guess or start looking all over the internet for information you can rely on. I will do my best to bring you up to speed. It's like having a meteorologist in your back pocket where you can say, hey, what's going to happen for me? But then it warms up. The warm-up is around the 24th, 25th. Is that about right? Yeah, look at the warm colors there. That's 3 a.m. Friday. So by the 26th, 24th, 25th, 26th, you might think spring is here, but then it's a head fake because then that purple air comes circulating back around, much like the tide of the ocean, and we'll be locking and reloading another wave going right into February, Groundhog Day, and beyond. So winter's not done. And for those who thought that we'd only see 3 or 4 or 7 inches of snow all winter long, I was a lot higher than that. I was a lot higher than that. And my premium members have seen my winter weather outlook. They know how much snow I expect this winter. And we're on our way. If we got 4.8 officially, we may end up a little bit more than that before the night is through. We'll probably be closer to the 5 or 6, maybe, before all this shuts down. But look how this lines up. The Futurecast shows the mixing in pink, the snow in blue. 11 o'clock, still snowing in some parts of the valley. But it's tapered off in Crossville, it would appear, and certainly Jamestown, maybe to a lesser extent still some flakes around Jellicoe. But that's 11 o'clock, and this low is trying to eject to the east, still snowing now in Moorestown by 12:30 tonight, tomorrow morning. And then it starts to really pull out if around 7 a.m. That's when the winter storm warning expires. And where do we see flakes at 7 a.m.? Mainly the Smokies. So any flakes will end pretty quickly, that I do expect. It is about 9 o'clock, 8:59. I'm just going to wrap up here in a few moments. I'm going to look at more of your pictures, and if you have any questions, I would like to see what you want to ask me about, because we have a lot of this cold air, the pipes, frozen pipes, and hypothermia all on the table going into the near future. By the time we move into Thursday afternoon, you can see some changeover from snow around Louisville, Kentucky. I see rain trying to form south of Jackson, Tennessee. That's why I've got rain and snow showers moving in on the second half of we move into Thursday. It does not appear as dramatic as today. It's not a southern slider, it's a western storm maker, so it may produce more of the horseshoe effect where it is snowing, but there's a hodgepodge of precipitation types coming back into town by Thursday afternoon, Friday. So another way to look at tonight, we'll kind of skip through this because I don't know if the precip, I've been having issues, it's because of the type of the hour. Many of these models update around 8 o'clock at night, but it does give you an idea of where the temperatures are. So the precip is pretty much void there, but I can tell you this, once we get down to, what is it, 7 a.m., 6 a.m., yeah, let's stop it there. There's 4. Can we get to, there it is, ta-da, -6. Where's that? That's Wartburg. Oak Ridge, -4. And Kingston, -5. That tells a story. I don't know if you're ready for that. Personally, I'm not ready for that. And when it's time to let the dog out, my dog's probably not going to go. We may have to figure out, maybe we'll have to figure out other ways to take care of the dog on that particular morning. That's just me. If you're on the call, Darcy says, happy early birthday. She says there's 27th. Somebody's talking about that. Judy says, yes, we got snow in my area of Sevierville. She says she got 3 to 4 inches. I've had some people telling me that we were getting nothing in Sevierville. So it just depends, maybe north side, east side, west side. But thank you. Jason says, I know at least he got 8 inches in Kingston, south of the river, but I think closer to 9. It is an icy sleet currently, about to check in again outside. Jason, thank you for that update. He's also one of my premium members on Facebook. We've been talking about so much about this cold. This is the big story moving forward. So if you think it's fun playing in the snow now, you're not going to want to play it when it's in this category of negative to zeros. So that's too cold to be outside for any length of time, I assure you. But by the time we hit Wednesday afternoon, we'll make a run toward 26. That's what I expect to be for the high temperature. So here's 9:02. Let's wrap things up. 17 the low tonight. Snow with mixed showers, maybe a ½ inch to an inch more on top of what you've already had. But they will linger, and it will be colder than it was last night. Winds about 3 to 8. I'm expecting a low tonight of 5 in Crossville and 17 in Knoxville. Wait. There's a 12-degree difference between Cumberland County, yes, and Knox County. And you can look at Newport and say it was 15, but Newport was in the 30s today. So a big difference from west to east. You're already in that cold single-digit pattern tonight if you're in the plateau, and that's going to be tough. And you have a snowpack as well. So temperatures may actually get lower than you expect, because when you have a blanket of snow on the ground, it makes the temperatures cool a lot faster. Flakes will fade early tomorrow, and then partly to mostly cloudy skies are expected. Winds also about 3 to 8 miles per hour. My high temperatures for tomorrow, about 25 in Oak Ridge, 24 for Moorestown, 20 in Middlesboro, and 15 in Crossville. You can see as our high temperatures will reach about 21 or so around Oneida. Here's your Captain Accurate Weather Authority forecast for Knoxville, East Tennessee, -2. Now the record low, because you know I wouldn't just put out a number and not tell you what this context is. -2 is within 3 degrees. The record low is -5 from 1982. So we are maybe within reach, right? Maybe a few degrees within. I will say near record lows for Wednesday morning. But the high temperatures on Wednesday, only 26. And then we could be back to near zero Saturday and Sunday morning. Saturday, we'll be lucky to hit 19. You got to be kidding. Did you see all that purple? All that purple is rotating into town and we're going to be tasting the Arctic coming to a neighborhood again near you for the weekend, despite the fact there's not a lot of precipitation outside of what comes in Thursday afternoon, Thursday night. So I expect this to kind of rain, snow showers, maybe a mix, and we'll fine-tune that a little bit better tomorrow because we got to clear the air for this system to really have some confidence of the precipitation type for later this week. That's my view. 37 on Monday, but 27 on Sunday. So it's a cold weekend. It's going to put a lot of folks are going to stay awake, right? They're going to be opening the cabinets, they'll be dripping the faucets, and hoping for the best, hoping and praying that we get through this cold spell, because some of the coldest year we've seen quite some time is headed our way. Just want to check in with you again. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. Steven Snyder sending me some stars. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Let me pop back up on YouTube because I know some of you are over there. Felicia, Crafty Adventure, says it's already dripping the faucet. She got 9 inches in South Knoxville. That is awesome. I mean, I say it's awesome. It's one of those things, like 4 to 8 plus. Some of you would have locally higher amounts, and some got all snow. Some of you have more of a mix. But it's good to have that update from Felicia. She's also one of my premium members on Facebook. I also got a note here from Craig Smith. He says, I'm in Tennessee, right behind the airport in Louisville. I measured after it stopped at 8 p.m., we got almost 9 inches. So it's just one of those things. There are those who are going to be disgruntled. If you're in the mixing zone, maybe Newport, Sevierville, Maryville, but hopefully you're getting a little surge of that snow before it finishes. That's why I say it's kind of silly to grade a forecast while you're in the middle of it. Wait till it's over. Then you can play Monday morning quarterback on Tuesday. We can look back at the numbers and say, okay, this is where we can improve. This is where we can make some adjustments next time. That's what I like to do. That's how I get better. Is I just go back and look at my notes and see what could I have made an adjustment, where could I have drawn those lines differently. So everybody's going to have their own story, but I'm very thankful for you and for your time with me this evening, because I know you could be doing a whole lot of other things, maybe watching NFL, but who knows. By the way, it's 9:05. I hope you all have a great night. My name is David Aldrich. We'll see you here tomorrow morning, bright and early at 6:40. Take care.